Welcome to Make English Easy. Today I am going to solve exercise 94 of Rain and Martin. I will solve this exercise in two parts. Today part 1. Combine each set of sentences into one simple sentence. First one is, Homer was a great poet. He was born somewhere, nobody knows where. Now, how to combine it into a simple sentence? That means the sentence has only one verb. Nobody knows, first start. Okay, write it down in your exercise book. Nobody knows what? Nobody knows. Here in this line, he was born somewhere, make it birthplace. So, nobody knows the birthplace of whom? Of the great poet Homer. Okay, this is the way to join it. I am repeating again. Write it down. Nobody knows the birthplace of the great poet Homer. Number 2. He was a leader. He did not follow other men. Such was his nature. How to join it? This line you make it, he was a leader. Being a leader, then put comma, and this one, such was his nature, make it naturally. So, how to join it? Start. Being a leader, he did not naturally follow other men. Okay, I am repeating again. Being, B-E-I-N-G, being a leader, comma, he did not naturally follow other men. Number 3, I bought this hat 2 years ago. It is still good. It is fit to wear. So, how to join it? First, start with hat. This hat, comma, used past participle phrase, bought by me 2 years ago, comma, is still good and fit to wear. I am repeating again. This hat, comma, bought by me 2 years ago, comma, is still good and fit to wear. Next, number 4. He devoted himself to public affairs. He never took a holiday. This continued for 30 years. This one very easy. You start with he devoted. He devoted himself to public affairs and join it for how many years? For 30 years. How? Here he never took a holiday. You just write without taking a holiday. So, what is the answer? Write it down. He devoted himself to public affairs for 30 years without taking a holiday. I am repeating again. He devoted himself to public affairs for 30 years without taking a holiday. Next, Clive made proposals. Some opposed the proposals, the majority supported them, and they were carried. So, how to start? Clive made proposal, write it Clive's proposals. Okay, Clive proposals, and then you see here you use in spite of. Here in this line you joined it in spite of some opposition. Okay, so comma, Clive proposals, comma, in spite of some opposition, comma, were carried with the support of the majority. Here, Clive's proposals, this line, in spite of or despite, you can write despite or in spite of anyone, some opposition, comma, were carried with the support, with the majority supported, you make it with the support of the majority. Okay. So, I am repeating for last time. Clive's proposals, comma, in spite of some oppositions, were carried with the support of the majority. Next, number 6, Clive was determined to reform the administration. Reforms were needed. He informed the council accordingly. So, start here, make it Clive. So, Clive informed the council. What did he inform? Of his determination. Determination of what? To introduce necessary reforms in the administration. Here. So, write it down. Clive informed the council of his determination to introduce necessary reforms in the administration. Number 7, the man was innocent. He could have defended himself. He refused to speak. He was afraid of convicting his friend. So, how to join it? So, what is the subject? The man. Here you have got two options. Innocent. The first one is innocent and second one is defend himself. But he did not defend himself. So, you can join it by in spite of. How? I am showing the man, you just write the man, comma, in spite of his innocence, 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 and his ability to defend himself, put comma, refused to speak. For what? Why did he refuse? Refused to speak for fear of convicting his friend. So, write it down. The man, comma, in spite of his innocence and his ability to defend himself, comma, refused to speak for fear of convicting his friend. Number 8, he was in prison. His friend was in the next cell. There was a brick wall between the cell. He made a hole in the wall. He was able to talk to his friend. So, how to do it? So, this one, he was in prison, write it while in prison. Okay. Put comma, then start with the subject he. He was able to talk to his friend where his friend was residing in the next cell. How? By making a hole where in the brick wall between the cells. So, write it down. While in prison, comma, he was able to talk to his friend in the next cell by making a hole in the brick wall between the cells. Next, number 9. The boy was drowning. He shouted for help. A workman heard the boy's shouts. He plunged into the water. He risked his own life. So, how to start? First, first determine which is the subject. Workman. Start with workman. Here, he, a workman. Okay, how to write it? A workman, comma, hearing the shouts of the drowning boy for help. Now put comma and start the main verb, plunge into the river at the risk of his own life. I am repeating again. A workman, comma, hearing the shouts of the drowning boy for help, comma, plunged into the river at the risk of his own life. Number 10. The traveler was toiling slowly over the desert. He suddenly turned around. He heard his companion's voice. His companion was crying for help. So, start with subject traveler. So, how to write it? The traveler, comma. Now, describe the traveler by present participle phrase. Toiling slowly over the desert, comma. Suddenly, now use the main verb, turned round, on, or you can use after anyone, on or after anyone, hearing his companion. Now describe the companion again, use another present participle, crying for help. So I am repeating again, the traveler, comma, toiling slowly over the desert, comma, suddenly turned round, on hearing, or you can use after hearing, anyone, on or after hearing his companion crying for help. Number 11. We returned down the valley of Jamuna. We came first to Delhi. Delhi is the capital of India. This one very easy. Returning down, write it down. Returning down the valley of the Jamuna, comma, we came first to Delhi, comma, the capital of India. I am repeating again. Returning down the valley of the Jamuna, comma, we came first to Delhi, comma, the capital of India. Number 12. The art of printing was introduced into England during the reign of Edward IV. The art of printing was introduced by William Caxton. William Caxton was a native of Kent. This one very easy. The art of printing was introduced into England when during the reign of Edward IV by William Carton, a native of Kent. So I am repeating again. The art of printing was introduced into England during the reign of Edward IV by William Caxton, comma, a native of Kent. Number 13. He struck his foot against a stone. He fell to the ground. He made his clothes dirty. So this is very easy. striking his foot against a stone, comma, he fell to the ground, making his clothes very dirty. I am repeating again. Striking his foot against a stone, comma, he fell to the ground, making his clothes very dirty. The 14. The sun shone on the corn. The corn ripened. It did this in short time. The farmer was filled with joy. Write it down. The corn, having ripened in the sun in a short time, comma, the farmer was filled with joy. Repeating again, the corn, use perfect participle now, having ripened in the sun in a short time, comma, the farmer was filled with joy. I am repeating for the last time. The corn, having ripened in the sun in a short time, the farmer was filled with joy. Number 15. He opened his letter. He read them carefully. He sent for his clerk. He dictated answer to them. Very easy. Opening his letters, comma, reading them carefully and sending for his clerk, comma, he dictated answers to them. I am repeating again. Opening his letters, comma, reading them carefully and sending for his clerk, comma, he dictated answers to them. Number 16. He paid all his late father's debts. This was a very honest proceeding. It was very creditable to him. Answer, write the answer. His payment of all his late father's debts, a very honest proceeding, was very creditable to him. Okay, write it down. His payment of all his late father's debt, DBTS, comma, a very honest proceeding, comma, was very creditable to him. I am repeating for the last time. His payment of all his late father's debts, a very honest proceeding, was very creditable to him. Number 17. He has 2 horses. He must feed them. He must water them. He must groom them. He must bring them to his master at 12 o'clock. This is very easy. Number 17. He has 2 horses to feed, comma, water, comma, groom and bring to his master at 12 o'clock. I am repeating again. He has 2 horses to feed, comma, water, comma, groom and bring to his master at 12 o'clock. Number 18. He goes to school. He wishes to learn. He wants to grow up honest, healthy and clever. Number 18. He goes to school to learn and grow up honest, comma, healthy and clever. I am repeating again. He goes to school to learn and grow up honest, comma, healthy and clever. Number 19. There was a man hiding in my garden. He was armed with a gun. He was a Pathan. My notice was drawn to it. So the answer, my notice was drawn to a Pathan. Now used past participle to describe the Pathan. So Pathan, armed with a gun and comma hiding in my garden. So I am repeating, my notice was drawn to a Pathan armed with a gun hiding in my garden. I am repeating for the last time. My notice was drawn to a Pathan armed with a gun hiding in my garden. Number 20. The soldiers were starving, their ammunition was expended, their clothes were in rags, their leaders were dead, the enemy easily defeated them. So I am repeating again, the soldiers were starving, their ammunition was expended, their clothes were in rags, their leaders were dead, the enemy easily defeated them. So what is the answer? The soldiers starving, comma, their ammunition being expended, comma, their clothes being in rags and their leaders being dead, comma, the enemy easily defeated them. I am repeating again. The soldiers starving, comma, their ammunition being expended, comma, their clothes being in rags and their leaders being dead, the enemy easily defeated them. So I am repeating for the last time. The soldiers starving, their ammunition being expended, comma, their clothes being in rags and their leaders being dead, comma, the enemy easily defeated them. I am repeating for the last time. The soldiers starving, comma, their ammunition being expended, comma, their clothes being in rags and their leaders being dead, comma, the enemy easily defeated them. Number 21. Napoleon was the first emperor of the French. He was a great soldier. He inspired his armies with the most warlike spirit. This was the cause of their many victories. So inspired, so how to write it? Inspired by Napoleon, comma, now describe Napoleon, the first emperor of the French and a great soldier, now end, comma, with the most warlike spirit, his armies won many victories. So I am repeating again, inspired by Napoleon. Now who is Napoleon, comma, the first emperor of the French and a great soldier, comma, with most warlike spirit. Okay. So how to join it? Look, inspired by Napoleon, now describe Napoleon, comma, the first emperor of the French and a great soldier. Now you have described Napoleon. Now inspired with, now join with inspired with the most warlike spirits. Okay. Now his armies won many victories. I am repeating for the last time. Inspired by Napoleon, the first emperor of the French and a great soldier. Okay, I am repeating again. Inspired by Napoleon, comma, the first emperor of the French and great soldier, comma, with the most warlike spirit, comma, his armies won many victories. Number 22. Wellington was the greatest of English admirals. Napoleon was the greatest of French soldiers. They were contemporaries. They were the heroes of their respective countries. This one is easy. Wellington, comma, the greatest of English generals, comma, Napoleon, the greatest of English admirals. Now wait, Wellington greatest, Napoleon. Okay. Yes, yes, okay. I am repeating again. Wellington, the greatest of all English generals, English admirals. Okay, just write it here. There. Wellington, comma, the greatest of all of English admirals, comma, Napoleon, the greatest Napoleon, the greatest of French soldiers, were contemporary heroes of their respective countries. Okay. So, I am repeating again. Wellington, comma, the greatest of English admirals, you can use and Napoleon, and you write it and Napoleon, the greatest of French soldiers, were were contemporary heroes of their respective countries. Last time, repeating last time, Wellington, the greatest of Wellington, comma, the greatest of English generals, don't put and Napoleon, comma, the greatest of French soldiers, n comma, were contemporary heroes of their respective countries. Number 23. The miser laughed. He found himself to be richer by a rupee. He saw his adversary outwitted. This one very easy. Finding himself richer by a rupee and seeing his adversary outwitted, the miser laughed. Okay, I am repeating again. Finding himself the richer by a rupee and seeing his adversary outwitted, comma, the miser laughed. I am repeating for the last time. Finding himself the richer by a rupee and seeing his adversary outwitted, comma, the miser laughed. Number 24. He hardened his heart. He wished to punish the people mercilessly. He wanted to make an example of them once and for all. Okay. Now, how to write it? He hardened his heart to punish the people mercilessly and make an example of them once and for all. So, to punish and to make, there are two infinitives. Okay. So, write it down. So, we have take two common. So, how to write the answer? He hardened his heart to punish the people mercilessly and make an example of them once and for all. I am repeating for the last time. He hardened his heart to punish the people mercilessly and make an example of them once and for all. For all. Last. Number 25. Okay, I am repeating for the 25. He hardened his heart to punish the people mercilessly and make an example of them once and for all. Number 25. He receives much gratitude. He performs kindly actions. He is not harsh in the execution of his duty. He does not oppress the poor. So, this one very hard, but how to write? He receives much gratitude. How? By performing kindly actions, comma, by not hurting, by not being harsh in the execution of his duty, and by not oppressing the poor. So, this one, look, if you understand, it is very easy. If you don't, it is very difficult. He receives much gratitude, then join it. So, you can question how he receives much gratitude. By performing kindly actions, comma, by not being harsh in the execution of his duty, and by not oppressing the poor. I am repeating for the last time. He receives much gratitude by performing kindly action, comma, by not being harsh, BEING, in the execution of his duty and by not oppressing the poor. I am repeating for the last time. He receives much gratitude by performing kindly actions, comma, by not being harsh in the execution of his duty and by not oppressing the poor. Number 26. His friends assembled. They offered him their congratulations upon his safe return. Everybody was comfortably seated. He described all his adventures. So I am repeating. So now the answer, his friends having assembled and offered him their congratulations upon his safe return, and everybody being BING comfortably seated, comma, he described all his adventures. So I am repeating again. His friends having assembled and offered him their congratulations upon his safe return, and everybody being comfortably seated, comma, he described all his adventures. Number 27. The thieves poisoned the dog. He had bought it. The thieves poisoned the dog, comma, he bought it from England. He had trained it carefully to protect his property. So very easy. The thieves poisoned the dog. Now use past participle. Which dog? Bought from England and trained carefully to protect his property. Very easy. So I am repeating again. The thieves poisoned the dog bought from England and trained carefully to protect his property. Number 28. Vultures appeared one after another. They were wheeling round and round. They were descending towards the spot. They had cruel beaks and talons. So, how to do it? Vultures. Now describe the vultures. Vultures with cruel beaks and talons, comma, appearing one after another and wheeling round and round, comma, were descending towards the spot. Now write it down. Vultures with cruel beaks and talons, comma, appearing one after another, comma, and wheeling round and round, comma, were descending towards the spot. Number 29. The room was covered with blood. It stained the wall and ceiling. It darkened the floor. It flowed in a stream under the door. It stood in puddles everywhere. So start. The room was covered with blood, staining the wall and ceiling, comma, darkening the floor, comma, flowing in a stream under the door, and standing in the puddles everywhere. So I am repeating for the last time. The room was covered with blood, staining the wall and the ceiling, darkening the floor, comma, flowing in a stream under the door, and standing in puddles everywhere. I am repeating for the last time. The room was covered with blood, staining the wall and ceiling, comma, darkening the floor, comma, flowing in a stream under the door, and standing in puddles everywhere. Number 30. The house had been pulled down. Another had been built in its place. it was difficult to identify the exact spot. So, use perfect participle for both the houses. How? The house having been pulled down, comma, another having been built by its place, comma, it was difficult to identify the exact spot. So, write the answer. The house having been pulled down, comma, another having been built in its place, comma, it was difficult to identify the exact spot. I am repeating for the last time. The house having been pulled down, comma, another having been built in its place, comma, it was difficult to identify the exact spot. Okay. In my next video, I will solve the rest up to 60. So, today I have solved 1 to 30. Okay. So, please subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.